as you know, we're a long time getting here. This has been a couple of years in the making, and of course this year we really thought we had an opportunity to kill Common Core so that in Mississippi we could make sure that education maintained local and state controlled and that we didn't have those federal mandates pressing down on us. Of course, we ended up with SB 2161, which is a bill that never really allowed us to repeal Common Core as a whole and move in a different direction. Now, of course, the part that's really troubling is that a press release came out that said bill ending Common Core goes to the governor's desk. So it gives that perception to the public that Common Core is ending, when in reality all the bill does is creates a 6-month commission that's really powerless. It just says to develop recommendations and suggestions for what we should move toward. But then and to give those recommendations to the Department of Education. But it doesn't say that the Department of Education must put those recommendations into place. And we already know Dr. Carrie Wright, the Superintendent of Education, is on record as saying that her and the board support keeping Common Core standards in place. So why should we believe that even if this board did suggest moving away from them, if they're not forced to adopt them, why would they? So we're here at the end of the day with a bill that claims to end Common Core, but as you and I both know, creates a commission of 11 people that will exist for only 6 months and has no power to really do anything. It doesn't force the Department of Education to do anything. Yeah, sure. So I've put a formal request forward to our governor asking him to actually veto SB 2161. And I don't take making this request lightly. I mean, I have a tremendous amount of respect for our legislative process and for the legislators that I serve with. But I have a lot of concern about if we let this bill stand as it is. First of all, it creates another commission and another board, which we're not big fans of doing, especially those that don't have any power or authority to do anything. And that's what this does. The other thing is that if this bill is allowed to stand, how will we ever come back forward and introduce legislation to truly repeal Common Core and move toward a set of standards for Mississippi that will work, something that's been tried and tested off of other states? There's some out there that we know would work. How will we ever be allowed to come back and do that if Mississippi, if it's already been said that we've killed Common Core? If the Lieutenant Governor has put out a press release and says we've killed Common Core, what makes us think that he would ever allow us to come back and introduce legislation to kill Common Core if in theory it's already been done, if that makes sense? So I'm asking the governor to seriously look at vetoing this bill. The commission has no power or authority to do anything. The bill doesn't do what it intended to set out to do. So let's just kill it, and then maybe we will have a true chance to come back next year and introduce legislation that can kill Common Core, and we can move toward creating something that we know will work in the best interest of Mississippi's future. The governor's already saying that there's a chance that he's going to call a special session. So if he were to veto SB 2161, then why couldn't we not, in a special session, why could he not call for us to address this issue? There would be nothing else on the table. Nothing is more important than getting education right in Mississippi, than setting the stage for our future. I think the special session is the perfect place to do that. We don't need to wait. We don't need to kick this can down the road any further. So if the governor would veto SB 2161, call for the special session for us to address Common Core, then we could come right back in here and roll up our sleeves and start working toward what we do need to put in place to end Common Core and move Mississippi forward to create her own standards so that we have true local and state control of education in Mississippi. You know, for 2 years, over 2 years now, we've been working and we've been talking with teachers and parents and concerned people from all over the state. As a matter of fact, if you poll Common Core, almost 80% of the people in the state do not support keeping Common Core standards in place. it really changes the whole learning process of what children have been doing forever. One of the big problems is that we yield that local and state control in so many ways. And it's a real cookie cutter system. You know, I don't have a problem with there being some level of standardization that we have to meet, but we can't just be teaching to the children passing a test so that they meet a certain criteria for all children across the country. You know, teachers tell us every day, look, we know how to teach. We know what to do. Get the government out of our classroom, get the mandates out of our classroom, and let us teach our children. One of the problems with Common Core is that it adds more of those mandates and more of those regulations to teachers. So if the State Department of Education, working with the local districts, the local school systems, could have true control, and they could do that in a system away from Common Core, then we know we'd be on a better path. But as long as Common Core is in place, we're not going to have that. So I think that's one of the main reasons. Now there's lots of problems when you get into the actual procedures and the teaching mechanisms and the testing, and we could be here all day on that. But I think the main thing is just getting that local and state control back, making sure that the teachers are controlling their classrooms, not some bureaucrats 1,000 miles away in Washington. Absolutely. You know, Common Core very much has an influence on all education, not just public school education. You know, right now, whether kids are being SAT or ACT tested, there are the factors in there that hinge upon Common Core. We already know in Mississippi there are a number of schools within the Mississippi Private School Association that have adopted the Common Core standards because they feel like they're having to teach the kids the new methods, teach toward the test so that they can, you know, be college and career ready according to the Common Core standards. This also hinders parents' abilities for further choice in terms of homeschooling. You know, I'm a big fan that parents should have choices. Parents know what's best for educating their children. Parents working with their local school teachers and local school districts, whatever choice they want to go, whatever route. And no federal mandate should ever hinder those parents and students and teachers' abilities like Common Core does. You know, the more and more we see these federal type mandates coming down, I think the more and more important it is that parents and individuals get involved. Get involved in your local groups and your organizations. We've seen some incredible parent and teacher-led organizations pop up around the, you know, Stop Common Core in Mississippi, and so much of the success we've seen legislatively has come off of some of their efforts. You know, it's other reasons why what so many of us are doing with United Conservatives Fund and branching all of these different groups of people together who want to move toward a more conservative mindset in Mississippi, no matter what it is, no matter what policy you're looking at, but particularly in education. I think it's just real important that as we see more and more of these federal mandates coming down, that more people get engaged, that you pay attention. There's a lot of information out there that's misleading. You know, press releases can claim that they do one thing, but at the end of the day, do they really end Common Core, or are we just rebranding it and repackaging it and sending it out there in another way? So whether your kids are in public school, private school, or homeschooled, yes, they are impacted by these federal mandates. And I think now's the time that we stop, give that control back to the parents, and make sure we're doing the right thing in Mississippi.